So in this video, let's talk about proportions. Um, Section 5.1 deals with ratios and proportions. From now on though, I'm mostly going to be assigning homework, and then based on what homework I assign, go over what I think will help you the most with the homework. They don't talk much in the homework about ratios. So the main thing I'm going to talk about, even though this section's called ratios and proportions, I'm going to talk about proportions because I know the homework I already assigned deals with proportions. You should read the whole section. Also, don't forget, and I put a reminder in the announcements that there are videos that Cengage has for each section too that you can watch if you want to. Maybe you'll like those videos better than my videos. So let's talk about proportions. I'm going to just write something in general. Proportion tends to look something like this. It can look like this, where you have A over B equals C over D, okay? Where A, B, C, D all stand for numbers, obviously. Usually what will happen in a problem like this is you'll know three of the numbers, and then you have to figure out what the fourth number is, okay? Now sometimes you might just be given a proportion like this and asked to solve it, but usually you're going to see that a lot of problems that deal with proportions in real life, obviously are word problems, that you have to set up. Okay? So setting them up is half the battle, but then you also have to know how to do this. Okay? So let's do a question where it's not a word problem, but just a proportion, where you have three of the numbers and you have to figure out what the fourth number is. So I'm going to make a proportion up. So over here, my fraction, one of the numbers won't be there. That's what we're going to try to figure out. I'm going to try to make it relatively easy. A lot of times when we don't know something, we call it x, so I'll put x there. It's going to be important when we start talking about word problems. You want to call what you don't know the unknown, usually x. You don't have to, you can use whatever letter you want, but I'm going to use x probably for all the videos. Okay, so you have 15 over 20 equals 30 over x. How do you solve something like this? Well, it's a good question. I'm going to rewrite it so it's bigger. How do you solve something like this? You could ask probably 5 different people, and they'll give you 5 different answers. Well, if you ask 5 people, what would probably really happen is that 3 of them would say, I don't know how to do it. That's probably the truth. But then the other 2 would probably give you 2 different ways to do it. I can see, for this particular problem, I can see a quick way to do it and like a normal way to do it. So really, there's only one way to do it. Technically, there's one way to do it. You can use shortcuts to do it other ways, but the one way to do it is like what I'm going to show you right now. It's the one time that cross multiplying is important. A lot of times people will try to cross multiply things that don't need to be cross multiplied, but in this example, this is a good time to use cross multiplication. What I mean by cross multiplication is that you take the numbers here and multiply those numbers. So 20 times 30, 600. and then 15 times x. Now, the book is wonky. Everybody knows that math textbooks are strange in that they will cover a topic after you already really needed to know how to use it. So what we're left with here is an algebra problem. They don't talk about how to do algebra in this book until the next chapter, but I assume that they expect you to know how to do simple algebra. So since we have 15 times x, we want to get x by itself. To undo multiplication, you use division. So we have to divide this by 15. Well, that means you have to divide the other side by 15 too. 600 divided by 15 is 40. So x is 40. Okay, so another way to do that in this particular problem without having to do it the way I just did it is you can notice that this number is 15 on top. This number is 30. This number is twice as much as that number. That means this number is going to be twice as much as that number. Well, twice as much as 20 is 40. But not all problems. If they have numbers like, if this was a 22, it would be hard to say, well, 22 is X amount more than 15. But this is exactly twice as much as that, so this number has to be twice as much as that. But the real way to do it is just to cross multiply, then use algebra to figure out what X is. Okay, so in my next video, I don't know what order I'm going to do the videos in, but there's going to be 2 more videos, one where we do a couple word problems, and maybe one where I talk about estimation.